everyone, welcome back to Tea with E. I'm even welcoming myself back because, as we know, there has been quite a gap, okay, since I last put out a video. But I am here, and today will be E-Tale number 4, where I recall and retell a story that was literally quite fire. So if you would like to hear more about that, then keep watching. All right, so this story is it's a heavy one, simply because 2016 was a very rough year for me, in as much as it was a year where, by God's grace, I really feel like I encountered him and surrendered my life to him in that year. There was also so many other events leading up to that moment, and much that happened after. And so it was a difficult time because there was just too many things that I had to juggle, that I was like, bruh, what's going on, right? So essentially, I was coming off of work, and I was gonna be home, like, and have the house to myself up until like maybe, I don't know, 8 p.m. And I was so excited about that because I came off work at like 3:30, and I just was looking forward to having time to myself, right? Without the parents, without any siblings, all the things, right? So I come home and I put a chicken burger in the oven, and I put some oil on the stove, right? With every intention to fry some potato wedges. So I do that, and I go upstairs to my room because I want to change out of my work clothes, and just yeah, I get myself prepped to just lounge. So I get upstairs, and of course I kind of get distracted. I think I'd used the bathroom, I changed, and then I was on my phone. Okay, it's always the phone. So then after that, I don't know how long would have passed, maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20 potentially, and I noticed that there was like some smoke in the hallway area. Like, it started looking kind of cloudy, a little foggy. So I was like, yikes, okay. So I just was like, it's fine. Like, obviously the pan, you know, in question is maybe just like smoking because I've left the stove on, but I didn't think much of it. So I'm like, yikes, okay. So I just, you know, I made my way downstairs, and I wasn't panicking. I was very calm. So then I get there, and I see that the stove, the pan that was on the stove, the oil is just smoking ridiculously, right? So I was like, yikes, okay. So again, still not freaking out because we're just going to turn off the stove and everything will be fine. So as I turn off the stove and I drag the pan off the stove top, it literally just ignites, okay? So now I'm seeing flames, I'm seeing red, and I'm like, okay.
This is fine.
Like, this is a lot. And I don't know what to do. So of course you're thinking stop, drop, and roll, but there's no need to do that just yet. And then I'm like also in like disbelief and shock, because I'm like, this is not is this actually on fire? How did we get here? So I then proceed to kind of pacing around the kitchen. I remember my phone being at 4%, so I'm like, I can't do much with my phone right now. I need a charger. I go and get a charger. I come back, I'm charging my phone, and the fire is just still taking. So I'm like, oh, turn on the vent, right? So I do that, and now the flames are like, sorry, I had to take my bracelet off because it's making too much noise. But anyways, so it's just, the flames are just rising, right? So I'm like, okay. And then obviously you're seeing fire. So when you see fire, you think water, right? So I got one small little cup, okay, with a little bit of water, and I just dash it. And then I hear psh, and all the flames just continue to build. And then it starts kind of like eating away at the backsplash. And at that point, I knew it was done. Like, everyone, you're finished. You messed up. Like, just jump into the fire at this point too, because you're gone.
You're out of there, kid.
And so I was really just looking at the fire, looking at me, because I said, there's no way. How could I have come home with every intention to relax and to chill? But there's no lick of chill. It's just heat. Okay, it's just heat. So at this point, I'm like, okay, well, we gotta call 911. Okay, because we do have an emergency. So I call 911, and then I start freaking out now because I'm like, oh, this is real. Like, this is truly a situation. And so they're like, 911, what's your emergency? And I was like, I think my house is on fire. She's like, okay, ma'am, relax, calm down. What's going on? I was like, the pan's on fire. The pan's on fire. I tried to take it out. I can't. I don't know. Is my house gonna burn down? Is my house gonna burn down? I kept saying this to the lady, poor lady. And I would love to have a copy. It'd be so cringy, but I would love to have a copy of that recording because I was losing my mind. And so she just kept reiterating, relax, we're gonna send somebody. Are you okay? She's asking me, and I'm like, yeah, like, I'm okay, but like, is the house gonna burn down? I just kept asking her. And anyway, so she's like, hey, we're sending a team right now. Please, miss, evacuate the premises, get out of the house. So I'm like, oh my gosh, right? And so then I'm weeping because I'm like, oh my gosh, Ebwa, you've already caused so much calamity in other ways, and then now this is unfolding. It was like the final straw for me, honestly. And so I wasn't wearing a bra. I just had my house dress on. So I remember running upstairs to go and get a bra because I was gonna be outside. I didn't want to look any more crazy than I already did. Just such a mess. So
okay.
I went ahead and did that, and I check back in the kitchen. I just see the smoke and the flames just going crazy by the backsplash area, and I was like, oh my gosh. So now I leave the house. I'm waiting outside in the driveway, and I'm crying. My dad calls me. He's like, Ebwa, there's a fire. What's going on? I told him, yeah, I was trying to fry potatoes, and I don't remember what I said, but just essentially a fire started, and I tried to put it out, but it didn't work. And my dad was just like, okay, well, you're okay? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, there's nothing we can do. And then I was like, and then I think I was about to say sorry, and he just hung up. So that was it. I'm like, great. And so I was like, all right, strike number 2 now. And then so now I'm like hysterically crying in the driveway, and 2 ladies in my neighborhood are walking past, pushing their babies in the strollers, and they're like, honey, are you okay? And I was like, my house is on fire. And they were like, oh no, are you okay, sweetie? I'm like, I don't know, like, I'm just waiting for the firefighters to come. And then they were like, okay, well, we hope it'll be okay. We're just down the street, honey, if you need anything. And they just strolled off. Okay? And I was like, yeah, like, you have nothing to do with this. You just go, right? You just go.
Please go away.
So then my neighbor who lives directly across from us, she sees me outside, and she calls me over. And I'm just there crying, and I'm telling her what's going on. She's like, it's okay, honey. Like, accidents happen, da-da. And what was crazy was, at the time, the door that we had, there were like clear portions of it, like a glass type aspect to the door, so you could, if you look close enough, you could kind of see what was happening in the house. And so I remember looking through that and just seeing black. So I knew now that the smoke was like picking up, and that was terrifying me because I'm like, wow, this whole house is literally gone. All because of potato wedges. Wow. Like, So now, like I said, I went to my neighbor's place, and I was like, I need to charge my phone. And so I charged my phone. She gives me a bottle of water and is just trying to calm me down. Very nice lady. And it felt like an eternity had passed before the firefighters came. Like, when you are in turmoil, when you are in a really, really hard, difficult season or situation, it's a scary moment, time just feels like it's going by so slow. Like, the things you need to happen right away, it's just not coming. So I was so stressed out, but they finally came. And so now I come to back to the house, and as soon as they opened the door, black smoke just started running out of the house, like traveling out. And I was like, oh Lord, like, the house is done. Whoa. And prior to this, I get a call from my mom. So she was at work at the hospital, and she calls me. I answer, and all I hear is, And so I'm like, hello? And my mom's like, Ebuwa, a nearly $2 million home. You want to burn down, Ebuwa? Ebuwa, what's going on? And I'm just like, I'm fine. I'm fine as well. Thank you for asking. And she's like, when they tell you to boil potatoes or to bake it, you don't want to bake, instead you're frying food. If you were frying food, this wouldn't be happening. And I just remember thinking, like, this is not the time. This is not the moment for that sort of feedback. Like, I'm literally fighting for my life right now.
Yeah, I'm fighting for my life.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm just laughing because, like, why was that the priority? Anyways, please. So, I was just mute on the line because, listen, it's done. So it is what it is. Like, what can I do? So anyway, she cuts the line, and yeah, like I said, we're with the firefighters. They go in and do their thing. Maybe about 10-15 minutes later, they're like, okay, miss, you can come into the house. So I come into the house, and I'm like, oh, everything looks intact. Like, the living room is fine, the dining area is fine, the stair, like, everything's good, right? Because obviously when you are in crisis, you're thinking worst case scenario. So I was for sure thinking that, like, there was going to be pieces of wood and ashes everywhere. And so then I proceed proceed further and go into the kitchen. And child, that kitchen, the backsplash was black. The ceiling area was covered, like, just had all this, it was black and gray stained. It just, because obviously they used their extinguisher, so like everything was just messy, and just things were looking burnt and fried, and
Oh no. Yikes. Yikes.
it was not a good, like, it was not cute. Like, there's no way to put it. And so I remember saying to the firefighters, I was like, sorry, what other option did I have in this situation? Like, what else could I have done to put out the fire? Because obviously instinctually you just think water, but when there's grease, there's oil involved, that's not the solution. And guys, this firefighter went ahead and said, oh, you know, this foil, or not foil, this tin container that you have the potatoes in, if you had just put that over the fire, it would have been fine. Or if you use, I think they said either baking powder or baking soda, one of those, if you just kind of, you know, put it over it, it'll handle it. And I said, say word, the solution to my problem was in the midst of the issue. Like, that's really crazy, you know? So what started the problem could have also ended it.
Oh my
Anyways, but everybody comes home, and, you know, everyone was just in shock, just confused. You know, my parents did eventually ask me in person, like, are you okay? Like, and obviously, of course, I wasn't, but, like, physically, obviously, I was fine. But I was just really emotionally distraught and devastated, and disappointed in myself. And so our pastor came over, and he prayed, and, you know, we just thank God that ultimately everything was fine. But it was a very, very unfortunate situation, and very scary, that I will say. Like, your life is literally flashing before your eyes when you're seeing such things playing out. But what I will say is that God did amazing things with our home after the fact, and much to which my mom always says, you know, that whole situation was a blessing in disguise, and it allowed for her to have the dream kitchen that she always wanted. And so, yeah, it was such a whirlwind, because after the situation happened, the very next day, the insurance team, the home insurance team, like, literally sent a group of people to come into our house and start cleaning everything. Because what had happened was, even though other areas in the house seemed untouched, there was black soot everywhere, and in the corners of the rooms there were like black cobwebs, stringy like webs of like this black type residue, you know, that just was a result of all the excess smoke that was filling in everywhere else. So sometimes what can seem like nothing is wrong, there's absolutely something that has happened here. And so even when you would wipe a countertop, if you would wipe the ledge of a counter in my closet, if you look at your fingers, it was all covered in black. So they had to wipe out everything. I'm telling you, this team came at like 7 a.m. So I remember like being awoken by like a crew outside of our house coming in, and one by one they set up stations all around the house. They're cleaning up things. Then they're like, please give us the clothes you want us to wash, because they're taking it to their laundromat, and I was like, wait a minute. And then guess what? They took all of my clothes and my panties.
Oh, hell no!
So they brought everything back like the very next day, but I had work that night. Like it was just, it was chaotic. It was very chaotic, but yeah, that 2016, a very, very different type of year, but we thank God for his protection in the end. And so with that being said, let's move over to our sips of wisdom. Okay, so sip number 1 is do not be negligent. Please do not be negligent. Neglect will cause too many issues, if not one, more. Okay, had I been serious about the fact that I was planning to cook, I was planning to fry food, I would have and I was focused on that, I wouldn't have literally left that environment to go and do something else and forget about what I was doing altogether, right? I should have either had my things prepped but nothing turned on, and then go and, you know, wash up or whatever and then change and come back, or start with, you know, getting ready first and then coming downstairs to cook and just be focused on what I'm doing in the kitchen. Because sometimes that 10-15 minutes away that you think is calm, it's absolutely not. It can be catastrophic, right? And so negligence is very costly. I remember when we're now sitting in the house, and so if anyone knows my dad, they know like my dad's a man of like few words, unless he's like really like passionate about something or feels, you know, strongly about said thing, but he doesn't really like say too much most times. And so that day though, my dad was like, this was all negligence. This was just negligence. And I was like, okay, tell us how you really feel. Tell us how you really feel, sir. Okay.
I feel like I'm dying inside.
And so yeah, but he was absolutely right. This didn't need to happen. There are so many things in life that actually don't need to happen, but they do because of poor choices, right? Because of poor insight or understanding. And so I would challenge you all to ask yourselves, what are you neglecting? Like, because this is not just about, a moment in the kitchen that I neglected, you know, what I was making. Because the thing too is we had an induction stove, so those babies do not need more than like 5 seconds to heat that pot up at all. Like they don't need much time. So if you give it more than it needs, it's going to give you a different result. And so especially when left unattended. And so there are many things in life that we're neglecting. Many people are neglecting Christ. They're neglecting their spouse. They're neglecting their children, their ambition, their work, their health. You know, many things, their finances. And what are the consequences of that neglect, right? Like, what can that lead you to? And so for me, it was a fire. Okay, it was a fire, and not fire in the sense that, I'm passionate about something and I'm, you know, all in. No, something that took things away, right? That caused a traumatic event for more than one person. So there is a price for what you're choosing to neglect. And we have to be honest about that. And so if there's something that you're neglecting or multiple things that you're neglecting, take this as your sign to get back to it. Okay, get back to prioritizing that thing, making that thing important, and really zoning in on said thing so that you can actually have good fruit and not a horrific fire. Okay, now number 2 is we know that God gives beauty for what? Ashes.
It is known.
It is known.
Okay, there are things that that will happen in life that seem so dark, they seem so twisted, they just really seem a mess, and you don't really know how this can get any better, but God is able to give beauty to it. Like I said, my mom was able to have this kitchen that she always wanted, right? And it didn't cost her like this arm and a leg because there was much coverage that came from house insurance. And so that was the beauty that came, right? And it also taught me the importance of not leaving things unattended. Since that time, oh please, me? No. I have not had a house fire again. And I don't actually leave. Like, and if I know I'm going to, I'll either reduce the heat significantly or I turn it off, or I tell someone else who might be around, whether it's my parents or my siblings, hey, I have something on the stove, can you just watch it real quick, right? I'm always mindful of the fact that, oh, I'm doing something, I'm making something. That way, there's nothing can go left like that. At least that way, even if something is off, I'm there to intervene, right? But when you are negligent and you are absent, you don't get to carry out, those things, unfortunately. But God, in his mercy and his kindness, can allow for a situation that looks completely dead, that looks gone, that looks like there is no chance for it to be used for your good, like there's no hope. He allows beauty to be what he crowns that situation with. And so for me, even when I look back, I do see God's faithfulness. I see his kindness, I see his protection, and I see how he was able to just see me through that time. Like even just simply with like having a neighbor, right, that like let me enter a home, let me charge my phone further, gave me water, like just help me to calm down and relax, right? For the fire not even getting any further than what it was. What if I had taken a nap, right? Because I was tired too, right? I was ready to eat and rest. What if I had now slept? Only God knows what the rest of the house was looking like. So the fact that even my door was slightly open for me to see the fogginess in the air, to alert me that there's a problem and to go downstairs, like God, God always has a way of showing you himself if you take some time to look back, so I thank God for that.
Hey, my God, glory! 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 Glory!
And last but not least, number 3 is refinement is painful. Okay, to be refined and to be made new, to learn and grow from past situations and mistakes is not easy. It's especially very hard when you are in the literal fire, when you are in those deep waters, in those deep pits. But God is extremely merciful and kind to us. And even in those times, it's so important to always remember God is literally with you. He's journeying with you as you are in said situations. So for some of you guys, you might be in a fire of your own. You might be in a situation that you never thought you would have been in. You might be, reminiscing on something that happened back in the day that you're like, oh, I wish this didn't go that way. But have hope for better days. Honestly, like this whole house fire situation is something that I can laugh at now. In the time, I definitely could not laugh. I was definitely crying hot tears. And I remember just being like, Lord, I feel like everything I touch just burns, just crashes. Because up until that point, I had lost my nursing school offer. I had a falling out with one of my best friends at the time. I was just so confused in life. So much of what I wanted to do was just not conceptualizing. And I just felt so lost. And I felt hopeless. And so that house fire was like just that final straw that broke the camel's back. Like, I was like, bruh, like, what is my life? what is really my life? But it was a situation that honestly got handled relatively well, and we had to endure some things after that. Like for about almost like 3 months or so, we didn't have a full kitchen. We had to use one little portable stovetop, you know, to make food. We had to do so many renovations in the house, like the kitchen primarily, of course. It was just so awkward. It was so weird also knowing that I was the orchestrator of that, right? But even still, I held on to hope. I thanked God for my life and my family, and for preserving us and our home even still, and allowing us to be patient, you know, with each day. And the thing is, I don't remember what our kitchen used to look like. I'm so used to the newness that God has provided that the old things have truly passed away and been done away with. Like, I don't recall what our old kitchen used to look like. And so yeah, don't lose hope. Keep trusting God, keep believing him, keep having faith that better days will come, because they absolutely will. Even though right now it doesn't look that way, there will be a time where you can look back by God's good grace and say, whoa, he saw me through this, he delivered me through this, he took me out of this, and you know, now I'm in this promised land. So anyways, guys, that is e-tail number 4 in a nutshell. Please watch your food, watch what you're cooking, watch what you're making, watch that heat, and don't be a negligent person. Please go headstrong for the things that you know you're meant to be doing, because it will yield good fruit. Of course, mistakes happen, accidents happen, but for the things that we can truly avoid through wisdom and insight, let's be a people who, you know, move in that direction. So yeah. Okay, anyways, I will see you guys for e-tail number 5 very soon. Thank you guys for sticking around, and yeah, I'll see you on my next video. Okay, bye.